Hello everybody, this is Cassandra Harrison and I'm here to teach another lesson in art. This time we are going to talk a little bit about cave arts, and I have a fantastic story to tell you, and following that we will have a little art project. Okay, so first I need to tell you a fantastic story about how this was even discovered. Okay, so if you can just imagine, it's 1940 in France, and there were a group of 7 boys that were walking through the forest. So they were, young teenage boys, 7 boys. So to represent those boys, I have this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 boys. Okay, so they're walking through the forest. And they had a dog named Robot. So, Robot, like all dogs do, was rootling ahead, running along, playing, doing whatever, and Robot came upon something that was very interesting to him. So, of course, when dogs find something interesting and they get really excited, he's probably running around and barking and things like that. And so the boys were like, what is going on with Robot? And they hurried along and saw what he had been barking at. And the thing is, in this area with lots of trees, one of the big trees had uprooted. So it means that it's quite a big tree and it fell over. And when that happened, the roots peeled up from the ground, revealing a very deep hole. And so the boys saw Robot sniffing around the bottom of the tree, and they went and had a look, and they did see a very deep hole, and they weren't quite sure how big this thing was. They weren't sure what they had found, but what they did know is that they had actually heard this sort of legend that had been going around, and it's a legend that they had heard from their parents about hidden treasure in the area, which is amazing. This is all a true story. And so anyway, they started to throw rocks into the hole just so they could hear the rocks plink down and knock against all the things it needed to bump into before it finally hit the ground. And they could tell by the sound that it was in fact a very deep hole that the rocks were going into. So what they did is they ran off because they were a bit freaked out about what they thought they had discovered, and they weren't quite sure about it. So then what happened is, a few days later, 4 of the boys, let's say this one, 1, 2, 3, visuals are so fun, 3, 4 of the boys came back, because they wanted to explore what they had discovered the other day. And so what happened is one of the boys had a homemade oil lamp. So we're talking about a time when we did not have the big flashlights or the big torches, and you could just like click on a switch and that thing would light up. And this is a little bit before those things were really available to everybody. Okay, so this little homemade lamp. And then they decided to go and explore. And they squeezed themselves down into the hole to drop down onto the ground of this cave. Okay, so if you can imagine like just wiggling around and dropping down, and of course it would have been pitch black dark, and then there was that tiny light. And if you can imagine that light flickering on the cave walls. So the thing is that they had discovered not treasure like gold and gems and diamonds, but they had discovered these cave paintings here. And I'm using this particular poster to show you the scale of things. So that means how big and how small things are compared to each other. So here, this is a photograph of, there's a man standing here, but then if you look around here, you can see these paintings. All right? And these paintings are about 20,000 years old. So they are Paleolithic art. And then you might want to ask yourself, what happened next? So when the boys found this cave, they knew they had discovered something really, really super cool. And then they all swore each other to secrecy. It's like, don't tell, just don't tell. But you know what it's like when you have a really good secret, and it's so good. It's such a good secret. It's really hard to not, like tell your best friend or maybe tell a parent or something. And the secret did not stay secret for long. And then what happened is their teacher eventually found out. And at first he thought, well, boys making up stuff and their imagination and all of these things. But then eventually he thought, actually, there might be something in this story. And so he went and had a look at the cave, or at where he had heard, they had been. And he saw that they were telling the truth. And then, actually, just before that, the boys had actually started charging admission to their friends to go and see the cave, which is very kind of funny. So eventually more people found out about the cave, and then hundreds of people found out about the cave, and then thousands of people. And people would go and visit the caves, and so they made the entrance bigger so that people could go and see it. People from all over the world went to France to see the cave paintings in Lascaux. And sadly, what happened then after 10, 20 years of all of this activity and all the people going through the caves and all the cameras and all of the lights, it started to damage the paintings. And that was really sad because this is like almost 20,000 years old, and they had been fine up until the point when too many people were starting to go and see them. So what happened is they have created a Lascaux Cave 2, which is a replica, so it's as exact as it can be, of certain parts of this cave. And I have a fantastic book here for any grown-ups that feel like having a good read. It is Cave Art by Bruno David, and this is just full of so many fascinating and interesting stories. And one of the stories in here is about how Lascaux Cave Part 2 was created. And so here we have some artists working on recreating some of the paintings. Okay, so people can go and visit the fake cave, but most people cannot go now to visit the real cave. Right. Now, we have to think about what were some of the reasons why these paintings were made, because they are really deep and hidden away in the earth. Okay, and one reason we think that they were created was because, the animals were really important to the people at that time, just as they are important to us today. And so they would have painted animals for all sorts of reasons. And most likely, it would have been a person called a shaman that would have painted these. And a shaman is like a leader or a teacher to help maybe guide the people, or to help maybe make good things come to be, make good things happen. So maybe sometimes somebody to look for something like luck is one way to think of it. And so they would have painted it maybe hoping that it would mean that they would have a good hunt, because the animals would have been used for clothing and food, and they would have been there to help the people survive until they discovered different other ways of doing it. So that is one reason why they think they were here. So not really for everybody to see, but maybe for those other reasons that I've just talked about. So now, your art project today has to do with this theme here. of seeing art that was created a long time ago and learning about the people from the past. So what I would like for you to do is, I would like for you to get a piece of blank paper and pencil and either markers or colored pencils. And we are going to imagine, go into your imagination, and we are going to imagine that this artwork we're going to make is going to be seen by somebody 20,000 years into the future. Oh, it's such a big number. And I want you to ask yourself, what would I want somebody 20,000 years into the future to know about how we live today? Okay, so here we can see animals that were important to them. We can see that I have a picture of, let's see, some swimming stags. Okay, so, and also what is interesting about cave art is there will be animals there painted on the walls that are very sadly not here today. Okay, so in the middle of that paper, I would like for you to draw a picture of yourself. Okay, and not only just a picture of yourself, I would like for you to draw a picture of you wearing your favorite outfit. Okay, so it could be, if you want to, you could draw your whole self, or you could draw just your head and your shoulders. Okay, so I'm drawing myself here, quick little picture. Right. And I think I'm going to draw, I might as well just draw this stripy thing I'm wearing now. So this is a picture of me. And if you want to, you can color that in. But don't worry, if you need to pause the video, please do that so you can catch up, or you can just write down the things that you need to do and then finish it later. Okay. So first thing you're going to do, I made my hair incredibly large here, is draw a picture of yourself. Okay. Right, so now the next thing I would like for you to draw, after you finish that one, I would like for you to draw a picture of your family. Okay, so, and your family, you know, it could be extended all the way to grandparents or cousins that are important to you. It could be your pets. It could be, you know, we have guinea pigs, so I could draw Rusty and Carrot, the guinea pigs. I'm certainly going to draw the two people that are super important in my life I live with. Okay, so you'll draw this, and I'm drawing really quick so I can tell you what to do next. Okay, and if you want to draw at the same time, please do that. Okay, I might have to make these a bit more simplified if I'm going to have time to do all this. So this is quite amusing. My partner has a rather large beard. It's very difficult to draw. So I have my partner and Lottie. And, oh, the guinea pigs. I might draw the guinea pigs over here. One of them is just a little puffball. Carrot, and then there's Rusty. Rusty is the mischievous one. He's just always getting into trouble. You know, he's a guinea pig. How do guinea pigs get into trouble? He somehow figures it out. Okay. And next, I would like for you to think of your favorite food. So I happen to like, you know, I love strawberries, and strawberries are fantastic. Dipped in chocolate, or with cream on them, or just by themselves. So I'm going to make some strawberries. Okay, and again, please feel free to pause the video just to catch up, because I don't want you to feel like you have to rush through this. Okay, so here I go. Me, family, guinea pigs, and some strawberries. And finally, I would like for you to think of your favorite thing. It could be a favorite toy, it could be a favorite game, a favorite video game, or something like that. So I know, for instance, my daughter would choose, she's got a toy called Baba. So I would imagine she would like to draw Baba. Let's see, I'll have to think about what I would like to draw. Do you know what? I really like my art materials. So I might just draw those, like, oops, use the right marker. So could be pots of paint, paint brushes. Here we go. Oh, there's so many things to choose from, isn't there? Oil pastels, chalk pastels, depending where you're from. Is it pastels or pastels? Yeah, things like that. Okay. All right. So, my quick drawing. And what would be fantastic is if you could finish your artworks and make sure you color them in really super good. And if you have actually used pencils and colored pencils, something else you can do is, and you would need the help of your grown-up for this, I know some of this, it might almost give you heart failure. In order to make this look really super old, you could scrunch it up, make it all nice and wrinkled, and then straighten it out. Okay, like this. And before you straighten it out, if you wanted to make it look extra ancient, you could dip it into a cooled down small bowl of water that has had a tea bag living in it for quite some time. And what would happen is, after you dipped your paper in there, you would straighten out your paper and lay it on the counter to dry. And what happens is that tea would stain into, it would stain all the little creases. And then that way, after it dries, when you look at your artwork, you will be reminded of this amazing story of the cave paintings of Lascaux, France, and how they were discovered. So, an addition, or something you could add to this drawing, is you could do a little writing. So you can imagine you are either Robot the dog, or you are one of, let's see, who should I choose here? One of the boys. Or maybe this one here. Okay, they weren't dressed up as giraffes. It's just quite funny. And you could draw, or you could write a story about discovering the cave and what you thought and how you felt and what it was like to drop down into the cave and to describe what you saw when the lights started flickering on the walls. Okay. All right, well, that brings me to the end of our art lesson for today. Please do share this if you thought it was interesting, or you think one of your friends might like to hear the story and also do the project. Please feel free to subscribe, and I will be putting up more videos on this channel as we go along. All right then, thank you very much, and goodbye.